Hans Plomp has just told me that he dreamt of Simon Vinkenhoog, and in his dream Simon, now long dead, said, "Hans, it's a party in heaven. I'm here with kindred spirits only. It's like Earth without all the shit." "I hope so, Simon," Hans had replied. Simon was the poet Prince of Amsterdam and a great joker. When I was with him once, I made the mistake of saying, on an idle whim, that I'd like to learn Dutch, and Simon instantly said that he'd teach me. I was all ears. Simon said if I wanted to ensure prompt and attentive service upon entering any Dutch shop, that this was a useful opening remark to make. "Ik heb pindakaas op mijn lul." He assured me I'd find the sentence invaluable. He rehearsed me, and he made sure I had all the right inflections and the glottal stops of Holland's guttural phlegm language that smacks of raw herring and of Rembrandt. When I saw that Simon was hovering round the corner as I entered the tobacconist on the Leidseplein to put my first stab at conversational Dutch into practice, and when I saw that he was holding his hand over his mouth and repressing a huge buck-toothed giggle, I suspected that he was putting me on, but I went along with it all the same. I declared slowly and carefully, "Ik heb pindakaas op mijn lul," in as authentic an accent as I could manage. "Ik heb pindakaas op mijn lul." The lugubrious shopkeeper raised his eyebrows. "Neem me niet kwalijk?" meaning, "Excuse me?" The earthbound Dutchman was at first bemused. Then, when he realized that he'd heard what he'd thought he'd heard, he transfixed me with cold, cod-like eyes. It seemed my first outing in Dutch had consisted of what he considered an inappropriate invitation. "I have got peanut butter on my dick." I secretly knew that that's what it had meant, or something very like it, or worse. It was worse. I took to my heels, to be greeted by gales of laughter from Simon, standing with his hands on his hips and rocking like a mad metronome set to its maximum speed, and with his beetroot-coloured face apoplectic with pleasure. The world remembers Simon Vinkenhoog from the great happening at the Albert Hall, Holy Communion, the international poetry incarnation, where Ferlinghetti declared,
"We'll all still have the sun in which to recognize ourselves at last across the world, over the obscene boundaries."
Endorsed by Allen Ginsberg, who thanked the sun for
making my body visible through my own eyes.
And where Adrian Mitchell declared a peace war on the American government for telling him lies about Vietnam.
"I was run over by the truth one day. Ever since the accident, I've walked this way. So stick my legs in plaster. Tell me lies about Vietnam."
And where Ferlinghetti announced that he was
waiting for Aphrodite to grow live arms at a final disarmament conference.
And where a seminal 60s moment took place, when Simon Vinkenhoog leapt onto the stage to forestall a riot. The whole audience had suddenly been screaming in feverish frustration as a hapless poet's encyclopedic dirge about his LSD trip went on and on and on, with the master of ceremonies, Alex Trocchi, trying every which way to get the poet off the stage, but nothing worked, and the audience booed louder still, and jeered and barracked and shouted, as the unstoppable performer insisted on finishing his unending marathon about seeing spiders on acid, whose laboriously intricate minutiae threatened to sink all visionary poetry forever. The audience's brutal cries of "boring" and "fuck off" and "that's not poetry" and "get off" grew to a cruel crescendo. Then Simon suddenly shot out of the audience, a berserk windmill, flailing his arms, possessed by the spirit of the age. "Laugh, he chanted. Laugh! Hard to make out what he was saying at first, but when it was clear that he was chanting, love, and then singing, love, and shouting out, love, and then he lowered his voice dramatically to stage whisper, love, and it was love, 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 over and over again. And the barracking audience fell quiet and was shamed into silence as the word echoed round the giant Victorian mammary gland of petrified red and yellow stone. And then some audience members joined in an undulating, rippling echo of Simon's magical monosyllabic missile fired into the auditorium. And they too called out, love. And at last, a prideful Harry Fainlight left the stage, albeit reluctantly, snarling at Simon and calling him,
Hey, you're a lovable idiot, really.
Yet Simon's intervention had allowed Harry to leave with his dignity intact and his head held high. It was 1965, and a foretaste of the summer of love, when it was believed that love could stop war, and at this holy communion, where a bardic tap was unscrewed and turned into a spiritual fire hydrant, Simon's conflict management and his enchanted exhilaration, whereby an audience baying for blood could be quelled by a single spontaneous word, showed what could be done with love. For the Holy Communion's whole audience felt wholly good about what had happened. On hearing about Simon in Hans Plump's dream, I believed in Simon's running commentary on his life in the afterlife, and I was transported there immediately. I also recalled a poem by this electric ecstatic of poetic positivity and ultra-optimism. Fly away with an ego, you have nothing to lose but, woe betide you, paradise on earth. Promise yourself to give so much time to the improvement of yourself, you have no time to criticize others. I can see Simon friskily prancing through space on his one leg, the stoned Dutch unipod from Optimism International. Hans, it's a party in heaven. I'm here with kindred spirits only. It's like Earth without all the shit. And I hope that it's not a crazy Dutch joke, nor that I'm just being gullible again. Because, of course, you always want some people to go on forever and ever. Eddie Woods tells me that Vinkenoog means the eye of a finch in Dutch, which feels right for someone impulsively picking out the good things in life and sharing them. When Christopher Marlowe died, the poet Henry Petau said that Marlowe had gone to live with beauty in Elysium, where he was singing songs to tunes by Orpheus, divine hymns, Petau said, to make heaven harmony. Quite a stretch, since Marlowe was an atheist. Michael Drayton added that Marlowe had in him those brave translunary things that the first poets had. For that fine madness still he did retain, which rightly should possess a poet's brain. Wherever Simon is in the megaverse, he can't have lost that fine madness, an indispensable aptitude for illuminating black holes with
love, 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 love,
Yeah,
come, man, come!
you want to come up?
Come!
I'll read the poem. Yeah, what?
I'll let you finish, Harry. Go on.
Yeah, I'm going to finish.